Hey, good morning. You know what I just thought? Why am I even doing this? Why am I even putting any videos up if I already know the result of the future? Because this is not for our benefit. It's for the benefit of humanity. That's why we do what we do. It's like when I watch a lot of videos from day to day, it's really what an echo chamber is. It's like, yeah, I know. Everybody's waking up. I'm hearing myself talk, which is a sound vibration, huh? Yep. Have you ever taken the time to observe yourself? Have you ever used your third eye, for example, to be able to see yourself? In other words, a picture of yourself before you've done something, which is like the future you experiencing who you are, meaning you can see yourself in full living color before you've actually done what you're going to do. Have you ever done that? Ever experienced that? Okay, well, that's one of the benefits of having a third eye that's really running. Divine light, source. Okay, remember how we talk about PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequencies. What's the speed you're running? Your tachometer, right? So I thought, I just got done listening to one of the most beautiful songs that I love to dance to because there is a musician in us, right? The cosmos is a musician, okay? That's why we call it harmony, harmonics, okay? Music. So music is for what reason? Maintain harmony, maintain a state of peace. Remember the waves, a harmonic, the waves are on harmony. Okay? So for example, when I look at myself in the mirror before I've acted, I think about my childhood, for example. And why is this important? Because I just listened to a great dancing song by a great group of musicians, and I happen to love this guy's guitar, okay, which is Mark Knopfler. Knopfler. Great, unbelievable guitarist. Okay, when I grew up, when I had a drum set when I was much younger, we used to call it walking the guitar, walking the notes, walking the strings, the chords. Remember the rhythm, and we danced to the beat of the drummer. I'm a drummer. Okay, I can play all kinds of drums, and I love drums. So I was looking at myself because this is how we examine, how we experience who we are, that is related to a timeline, or time, or geospace, geometric or geometric space. So when you think of the cosmos as a musician, I was looking at myself when I was about 4 years old and seeing myself in a classroom sitting in one of those wooden desks with a set of pencils which were substituted for drumsticks, okay? So I began watching myself and realizing that what I was doing was filling up space with my sticks, which is why I wanted to keep the stick speed of the sticks, which are my fingers and my hands, which is why I love to play keyboards or piano or an organ. Because what is the cosmos doing? Filling up space with what? Music. Filling up the void with music. So when the music brings the spirit out, makes you want to move, you're moving with the waves that are in harmony. Harmonics. Ever played a harmonica? So this is where you begin to realize that the cosmos is a musician, a communication system in which waves of music, which can be measured by what? Hertz. Right? One cycle, electromagnetic energy, and then it's pulsed, which means there's a void. You want to fill up the universe with as much music as you can, which it means the speed of the waves. So when you have what's known as bandwidth, which is known as a channel, a bandwidth channel, when the bands are further apart, then that space that's not being filled up with music. Now we're back to the speed of the sticks. Why we wanted to play on bigger sets. I started playing drums when I was about 5. So I use my experiences as examples of how the musician is wanting to fill up space. So when I started out, for example, playing on a snare when I was 5 years old, because I loved to play with the snare. And all drummers know that we tune the drums. Okay, and when you play with other instruments like a lead guitar or a violin or an organ or a keyboard or a saxophone or any instrument that you want to include into your arrangement, remember musical arrangement, like groups like, I love Carlos Santana because he included a lot of different kinds of instruments. If you'll ever go back and watch some of his videos, you'll see he used a lot of different kinds of drums. Big hand-type drums, bongos, kind of drums you see African tribes, okay? That's the whole purpose, for example, out on Kahena Beach, which is a black sand beach in Hawaii, they have what's known as a circle of drums every Sunday to bring out the spirit. Now, what's rather unremarkable, but some might consider remarkable, is that of all the places on the island, although there's more than just one, Kahena Beach does not have a signal interruption, which means you can't take a cell phone there or a laptop or any computer and pick up the internet. So that particular place is like a void, okay? There's a number of places where there's a void, where there's no hertz. So we fill up the space, okay, with music, a circle of drums to bring out the spirit. And the dolphins would come out and sing and dance with us. Welcome to the tribes and the clans on planet Earth, and why we do certain rituals with drums and musical instruments is to bring the spirit out to do what? Celebrate life. Celebrate our spirit with all living spirit. And we do that with music. It makes us want to dance, sing and dance to celebrate our energy. We use love and joy to celebrate our spirit with all living spirit because we hold all living spirit sacred. That's why the tribes have what they call sacred burial grounds. Okay? They don't perform a burial symbol in the same way that the reptilians do. Okay? So when you begin to study the original ancient cultures of why the tribes and the clans on this planet live the way that they do, then you can see how it is done on a spiritual harmonic basis. What I thought was remarkable yesterday, and of course this is not a coincidence, okay, is where Dan Bongino mentioned the word called savage with Donald Trump. Now, if you took the mean average of, say, 1 million people in the United States of America, you might think, oh, that's a primitive being, a lower animal in the food chain. But it's a French word, and it means living in the trees. So those that are the tribes and the clans know exactly what is meant by, oh, Trump is a savage. It means living in the trees. The tribes live in the trees, live in nature. Why? Because the energies are higher in nature. Okay? When you're living in a box with a concrete driveway, concrete freeways, asphalt roadways, it means that your feet are not grounded to the energy of the girl and the battery in the planet. That's why when I was a child, even now when I'm older, I walk on dirt and spend as much time as I can with my shoes off, grounded to the earth, to the girl's spirit in the planet, her battery. Okay? So they wanted to wire everybody up in a box with dead wood. Okay? These are symbolic representations of the difference between who built this stuff and why the tribes and the clans live spiritually and electrically and magnetically connected to the great living spirit of Mother Earth. Okay? We dance in her spirit with our spirit to the music and the harmony that is in our heart. That keeps our vibrational state high. Demons cannot stand our energy. So when I thought about this morning about how the echo chamber, that the speed in which the morphogenetic communication system between all the species here on the planet are communicating with each other, you begin to realize we're becoming the echo chamber of those that are shifting the consciousness. Lori Ladd's put up another video this morning, talked about shifting consciousness, which is nothing more than what I had a conversation with a guy this morning at a bus station as it was dark out, about 5 o'clock, and we were talking about memory and no memory, unconscious memory and creative imagination, the pulse, the void, the pulse, the void, the pulse, the void, filling up the void, filling up the space holographically, hyperdimensionally, with hyperspeed, the speed of the sticks, filling the void up with as much music as we can to expand the light of the universe. So what I do sometimes is, I mentioned this in a previous video about asking a child, these are just exercises that I do with children when I work with children. Spend some time, we don't impose our will on anything, okay? So if you wanted to live in a particular reality, write a story. And guess what? You're the artist, you're the storyteller, you're the musician, you can be whatever you want to be. Really? Yeah, you're free. Imagine whatever you want to imagine of a world that you live in, that you created. Can you do that? And what would that world look like? Can you use colors and crayons? How many colors do you have available to you to use all the colors that are available to you? Well, here's 1,000,000 crayons. How many colors can we come up with? Here's all the colors that are available to you. Have at it, little child. And see what the child comes up with. Wow, you came up with that? Wow. Now imagine the creative artist that is writing that story and living in that story. That state of consciousness is free to imagine what it is they just created that they're experiencing. They're experiencing what they're choosing to experience with their consciousness. We're choosing the reality as we go of the one that we will experience because it's an echo chamber, projecting holographically, hyperdimensionally, with the speed of the wave, filling up the void with music. That's why they retuned us, retuned the music. That's why the CIA was essentially running the music industry and running the Hollywood movie industry, running all the papers and the publications, which means they're presenting themselves to us. I'm not what that is. I don't want to experience that kind of reality with you. I choose not to give you any more energy. That's called unplugging. Okay? From lower states of consciousness. which is lower vibrational speed. So their state of consciousness can't move through the higher density dimensional realms. They play a different harmonic. They listen and experience a different tune. They don't run our music. So that's why they had to try and control everything. Everything that is presented to us. That people grew up as children and didn't know the difference between what they are and what that is. And that gets recorded in the unconscious memory of your cellular memories, which is in your DNA, which is your film strip, which means you're running their movie. We are experiencing their movie. Now, I don't like experiencing a movie set with demons, because what they do is drain our energy, drain our electrons, harvest electrical current. So I'm done giving you juice. I'm done being part of your system, because the things that they do are so corrupt, so criminal in nature, because they're liars, they're cheats, they're thieves, they're kidnappers, and they do things on a level that most people can't even imagine. So at the end of the day, humanity has to decide what they want to accept as a reality that they're choosing to continue to experience. That's consciousness. So there has to be enough light, enough high-speed units of living spirit and consciousness in here to help pull the others that are up, that are down. That just can't let go of that reality, because they live in fear of what love is. And that's insanity. That's why, as I mentioned before, we collect all the data to look at the health of the planet. Other ETs look at us and go, why would you destroy your own home? Why would we do that to ourselves? Programming. Being programmed in the unconscious memory to do things that don't serve humanity. And being able to look in the mirror and be honest with ourselves and say, I'm willing to do the inner work in order to change and raise the state of the vibration, which means to higher the consciousness of the things that we're aware of. We no longer want to give energy to allow demons to rule over our system, our energy system on the planet. That's the bottom line. So that's why these events are accelerating the way that they are. I know that when I watched the video from Lori Ladd, she talked about the COVID and the vaccines. I mean, I try and just let it go, okay, and just say it's actually extremely painful, and then I have to remember when I'm feeling that pain, that's a lower vibration, isn't it? Yes, it is. But I can bring the ball back up on the meter, the tachometer. But when I see people that are wearing masks, that when you think about it on such a basic physiological level, it's like, how does an adult who's 40 years of age doesn't know that wearing a mask, okay, is going to prevent them from being able to get the necessary electrons in order to fire and ignite the oxygen in their cells so that their body can maintain itself? Because they live in fear of what love is. They don't want to vibrate higher than that. What? They don't want to experience what love is at a higher vibration? No, they don't. They're choosing to wear a mask so that they're in a lower state of pH. that allows them to be a host vessel for a demon to move in. So they didn't learn as children how this works then. No, they didn't. When I have a conversation, for example, with an individual who's almost 40 years of age, and I talk about how you can take a 7-year-old child, and I've mentioned this before, to go for a nature hike, and they can learn in less than 30 minutes from an average spiritual teacher how electromagnetic energy works in the cosmos, how to maintain their vibrational state so they're not being fed on and controlled by a demon. It doesn't take very long to teach a child how to do that. And yet, when you see adults that do the things that they do, you realize it's so simple to translate that they live in fear of their abuser. And that's because of the lower density experiences they're still holding on to, they can't let go of. So as a result, they maintain themselves in a state of fear to have a relationship with a demon. So how are these beings going to escape the demonic relationship they have with something that's trying to feed on them? Knowledge. Lack of knowledge is lack of light. It's that simple. So how do we raise the light to raise the knowledge? Well, now we know why we're all here, huh? So they were learning through the dark how to drain their own light. So when they don't know the difference between the truth and what a lie is, when they want to believe in the lie, which is the reality they're experiencing, and they don't want to let go of that, it means they're not willing to let go of their insanity. Go figure that one out. That's what programming does. So when you meet people every day, and of course we can all means test this ourselves because I see it around me every single day, you begin to realize how it works, how it happens. So when I work with a lot of people, sometimes depending on what I call a conduit, an open conduit, which is an open mind, which means information they're not familiar with, which is knowledge that we pass on to others. And it doesn't really take very long to realize that they understand that the changes that are happening at such a high rate of speed. They're asking questions in their own mind. So if you're coming with them in a state of peace, in a state of love, and they feel your energy, then they know they can trust you, normally. But there are a lot of beings that I interface with here, particularly in Reno, Nevada, where you're immediately closed off. They don't want to know any information. They don't want to expand their knowledge and will shut you right off because they realize that the reality that they're living in, they don't want that to change. They're under total control. And this, of course, lends itself to being able to sort the field, what I call sorting the identity field, between are they a cyborg, are they an android, are they artificial intelligence, are they a hybrid, are they a Homo sentient sapien who just simply suffered through so much trauma that they have alters or multiple personality disorders, okay, because their light fractured or an amnesic barrier kicks in between one and the other, because when you've suffered extraordinarily amount of trauma as a child, you don't want to keep re-recording or experiencing the same recording over and over and over and over again, or people will want to go bang, right? Drink themselves to death, take drugs, looking for an escape hatch. That's why, as I mentioned before, all addictions start with trauma. So they traumatized everybody on the planet. That's what demons do. Because then they can feed on our energy and hold it as a perpetual source of energy and food. So, for what it's worth, that's my opening shot for the day, but I sort of realize we're at a point now where we already know, with me, we won this already. But that's because I know my timeline, which is no time. So what's painful, obviously, is trying to get up as many beings as we possibly can so that they can shift with the timeline that goes on forever. Right? Because we love you all. Have a great day.